Today marks 1638 day of day lessons, day reflections. As you can see, today is a little bit different today. I'm outside recording today's lesson, and it's a beautiful place. It's a Lafarge Lake in Canada, and this specific place is very interesting because 10 years ago when I came to Canada, I was exploring, and this is one of the first places I came to explore and look into. And it's a very small lake, but it's beautiful, and I think that people enjoying who are living here. There's a lot of houses that was built in last 10 years, and I was reflecting what would I like to share today. And I think that there's a lot of things that are happening in my life right now that is worth mentioning, but I want to speak today about paths. Like my friend used to say that path, and it's I think that every single person has different paths, but the most important part that I want you to reflect today is that there is external path and internal path. And when when I would ask the question, which one is more important, external path or internal path? Probably you would understand it's easy question. So of course it's internal path, but I think that majority of the time we live in a way that external path is more important, and we allocate more resources, energy, time, money in developing the path externally. But what happens if your internal path is going sideways? Your external path will go sideways as well, sooner or later. But what happens if your external path is going sideways? What happens then? If your internal path is going well, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if your external path is going sideways. Your internal path will allow you to persevere and push through until your external path catches up. What I mean by that is that when you're developing your internal path, you're developing your inner peace, your endurance, your understanding, your wisdom. At that moment, doesn't matter what's going on externally. You can be failing miserably, but failing miserably doesn't change who you are, your identity, your self-worth, your understanding of what is your direction, what is your vision, what is your purpose. And I really learned recently that our purpose was supposed to be set not on achievement. Sometimes even can say, like, I want to impact 1 million people. That could be a purpose. But could we achieve that? Necessarily, it could be that we achieve that for sure, 100%. But our purpose and direction is supposed to be based on being who we are, pursuing that goal. If you really want to have a goal of impacting 1 million people, that's great. But that's not the purpose. The purpose of being someone. And that means if the purpose is being, that means that internal path is understanding, okay, so who you want to be. What is that being means? So when you live your life on a daily basis, how do you act? What kind of emotional state do you want to pursue on a daily basis? And I didn't know that because the majority of my life I pursued, I performed, I executed for external reasons. And that's where I was lost for a long time until I realized that, until I was pushed into a situation that I needed to reflect on my internal life, because I was not where I was supposed to be. And again, this was probably the best thing in my life when a month I totally was fully lost. And I think that after that month I said, okay, let's start building internally something. Let's build and have a path. I had an internal path, what I'm doing. I was reflecting on my emotions on daily, what I feel and what I want to feel. I was reflecting on my mental state. I was reflecting on my spiritual. And all those internal things really allowed me to really reconnect who I was. And interesting, this Lafarge Lake is part of reconnecting with myself. Because now, in last month, I'm going to places I've already been. It's interesting because I was thinking that sometimes when you lose your path, sometimes the best way to reconnect with your path is going to the paths that you already been. What I mean by that is that even when I went to advanced hike, and there's a markers. There's a markers on certain trees saying that, okay, that you're going the right direction. And it's interesting, I lost one's path and I didn't see where the markers are anymore. So what did I do? I went backwards when I knew exactly where those markers are, and then I stopped and looked around and I was like, where is that next marker? And I think that in life we can experience exactly the same thing. We can really go through life, and sometimes we really get outside of our true direction, our true path, and we do not see any markers anymore. And sometimes going back to the paths, to the places that you already been, to reconnecting with the path that you know exactly, this is my path, and then say from that path that you already know that is your path, now you can look at where is next my marker that I would know. Where is my internal path, my external path? And of course we know that internal path is more important. And sometimes maybe we didn't ever had internal path markers. So what are the internal path markers? What are those? So of course, emotional default. Okay, so what kind of emotional default do I want to have? I want to have content. I want to have bliss. I want to have joy. So when by default, when I go through my day, those are my emotions. That's again, this is an internal path. This is what I want to have. What kind of things do I want to have? I want to have courage. I want to have discipline. I want to have leadership. So those are, again, directions, path that you want to say that this is a marker. When I look into myself and I measure myself internally, did I improve in those markers? And of course, at that moment, you can look into markers externally. How that will show up. How that will show up in a business. How will show up in relationships. How will show up in finances. How will show up in physique. And all of those things will show up, because interesting that when your internal path is better, sometimes even start even walking differently. People start to notice that, because I remember that when I was doing very, very badly, even my walking got slouched, and my friend said, like, how do you walk? Like, it isn't how you walk. And it's interesting that so many things will change when you're not in your best, in your prime. So today is interesting. I was again speaking all over the place, but the most important part that I really want to mention today was paths. Are you on a right path? And if you're lost, sometimes is the best to reconnect with the paths that you already know, just to make sure that you're able to really look into what is the next marker. So I hope you just win, and see you tomorrow.